Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time.
Saturday night's main event, NBC and Peacock. Next Saturday night, the headline match is Jey Uso defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul. We've got a tag team match of Sami Zayn and CM Punk taking on Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. We got Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest in a steel cage match. And for some reason, John Cena is wrestling R-Truth. I mean, I know they've been building, like, it makes sense in the storyline based on what's happened, but why would you waste one of John Cena's final matches on a guy who's been a comedy character for over a decade? I mean, I don't understand it, Jesse. I don't understand it at all.
Neither do I. Usually come prepared with numbers. Maybe I'll do it when Justin's talking, but I was curious as to the last time R-Truth has won a singles match. Because this is something WWE absolutely loves to do. It's the equivalent, in a way, to Jeff Jarrett or Dustin Rhodes right now getting an AEW World Championship match on a humongous Dynamite or a Collision, one of the two. There doesn't serve the purpose. And the rest of the card, I like the tag match. I think that's going to be a fun one. The steel cage, I actually like a lot too. With Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, I think they've had a pretty solid feud with WrestleMania than their occurrence as well at Backlash. So, no, I mean, this is extremely boring to me. This whole thing, as soon as he turned heel, and now is just recycle, old opponents, retro. Got another, 6.5 months? 6.5 months left to go of this. Yeah, this needs to chill.
Here's the answer on the singles matches. I just looked it up. So his last singles match on TV was February 14th on SmackDown, which was a loss to Carmelo Hayes. He did actually defeat Ludwig Kaiser on an edition of Main Event back on January 27th. I'm not sure that really counts. Who watches Main Event? So the last time he actually had a televised win would have been December 2nd last year on Raw over Pete Dunne.
Ooh.
Not a lot of singles matches, though.
I'm willing to bet Twinkle watches Main Event.
Yeah, he might. Twinkle's the man in our chat right now, wondering about Vince McMahon, for those of you at home. So, yeah, I mean, I think the rest of the card is pretty strong, too. I totally agree with you. I think overall, it's a strong card that I think is going to have some interesting storyline implications as we get down to it. You know, I think the big question here is, does Sami Zayn turn on Punk and join Seth Rollins' group and go heel? I think that seems like the likeliest scenario. Justin, you think Sami Zayn should go heel?
No, I don't. That feels like too much of a retread of his bloodline storyline. I don't think he needs to jump into another faction. And I've heard you guys talk about this new Seth Rollins faction before, and I agree with you that I think they should keep it small. I wouldn't add anybody unless it makes total sense. And to me, Sami Zayn joining them doesn't make any sense. I don't feel like he fits in with those two guys. So I would not do that. The only thing I hope from that tag team match is that it sets up CM Punk's match for Night of Champions, because that's all I really want to see is him on the Saudi card.
Just to bring that, him being hypocritical full circle.
Oh, and real quick, going back to R-Truth, is this like the first time ever that WWE has factored in somebody's wins and loss record into the fact that this looks to be a non-title match, that they're not giving R-Truth the title? I mean, obviously they're not going to give him the title, but the fact that it's non-title.
Yeah, it could be. Not that I can recall. Jesse?
That's a great question. I have no idea. Maybe it's a world title eliminator. They're trying to follow suit in another promotion. I have no idea.
And that's I'm just completely basing that on the matches listed on Wikipedia right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me like it's going to happen. I don't know. But it feels like an obvious WWE booking decision where they would turn Sammy heel. It's just kind of how they do things here and try to swerve the audience, you know, and then that gives Punk perhaps a new feud, because like how many times are we going to see Punk and Seth Rollins wrestle? You know, like I guess they could keep that going, but I don't know. We'll see.
The feud's been going since he came back to the promotion in December of 23.
Yeah.
injuries and fortunate enough to stall it.
Hey, to Carl's point on here, Ryan, if you could throw that up about Braun's eventual turn on Seth and Mania title win next April, do you think that should be the final destination for next year's WrestleMania? Is maybe like a spiritual sequel to WrestleMania 20, where you crown Braun and Jacob Fatu on that show? Because that was my first thought when I read his comments. Like, well, yeah, Braun, that makes sense. But it's like, well, gosh, it sure feels like Jacob is the one who actually has the momentum.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that would be such a fresh look and much needed. I think it's a matter now of the crowd response for both men over the course of the next 10 months. You have to get their characters elevated to what their in-ring work is showing right now, because both these guys, I like them a lot. This could be, you mentioned WrestleMania 20. It could also be possibly Cena Batista from 2005.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're on kind of separate trajectories. You know, like you put Braun in this group with Seth and Heyman to try to elevate him more versus Jacob Fatu, who has just like outgrown the group he's with, right? Like he needs to just kind of separate from Solo Sikoa. And I mean, they're continuing to build that heat between them where that's going to happen eventually. But he's like a guy you can tell can succeed at the top of the card on his own versus Braun. You're not so sure yet. You know, you see the potential in him, and that could be coming long term. I mean, I kind of like the idea. I think for sure with Jacob, it's there. Like right now, I could say, yeah, I think he's probably worthy of headlining Mania next year. Braun, I'm not so sure yet, but this is the kind of thing that could elevate him in the same way that, you know, Batista was elevated so many years ago. So I like that idea from Carl for sure. What did John say? Just realized Jesse's wearing a Samoa Joe top. Oh, it was mirrored. Okay, he's got it set up. Had to read it backwards.
John, I was doing the same thing. I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
I do like the shirt, Jesse. It's a cool shirt.
It's one of my favorites.
It's not as cool as the Top Rope Nation shirt, but it's pretty cool.
You're getting zero arguments from me there.
All right, so I mean, I don't think anybody thinks Logan Paul is going to beat Jey Uso for the World Championship. Where are we at on this match, Jesse?
I think what this sets up is the rematch, Jey Uso, Gunther, which they announced on Raw. It'll be June the 9th. I believe they said Phoenix, Arizona. I remember seeing the promo right. I'm very fearful of what this leads to for SummerSlam's purposes. This could lead to a Gunther, speaking of Braun Breaker, almost a mirror image, Bill Goldberg retirement match that I don't want.
No. You know, I don't want it.
I
don't think it's coming, but it's definitely coming. I mean, they've confirmed that he's training, and he said that Hunter like pitched him the idea. So thanks a lot, Hunter, for that. We are going to get Goldberg back. Yeah.
2025
is going down the way of nostalgia lane again. It's pissing me off. Go ahead, Justin.
Sorry, I stepped away to refill my cup of coffee. Do we have any clue as to who Goldberg might be facing for his retirement match? I missed that part. Apologies.
Yeah, Gunther.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully Gunther smokes him.
Less than 5 minutes for sure. Yeah, I mean, Logan Paul, I'm just looking at his match history. I mean, he's basically sticking to this wrestling once a month deal. You know, his last match was the win over AJ at Mania. He was in the Elimination Chamber before that. So he's really only had 2 singles matches this year. AJ and then a Raw match against Rey Mysterio. He was in the Rumble before that. And then prior to that, he hadn't wrestled since August of last year at SummerSlam, where he lost to LA Knight. I think that this is a wise booking decision to have him work Jey, just because Jay's the rising star. Obviously, Logan's very famous among certain elements of the audience. I don't really dig Paul America and those shows or whatever all that is, or his YouTube channel. I see that on HBO Max all the time, and I'm thinking, like, with all the great television out there right now, who the hell is watching that? But it's always in the top 10, so people are watching it.
The most infuriating thing is how much easier that dumbass show is to find compared to Dynamite.
Yes.
Like I wasn't able to watch Dynamite until days after the fact, and it legit took me like just 5 minutes to fucking find the show.
They never added to the archive. very
Yeah.
quickly. Like you have to search Dynamite to find the most recent one. If you just go to the sports and then click AEW's archive, it's never the most recent one is never there until like many days later. Just click the organizational button, HBO Max. Is it that hard? It's like make it a playlist for God's sakes.
Let me say this as well. I think Logan Paul now is really serving WWE's audience the way that they've gone politically. So, and just kind of the uniformity with UFC, the TKO brand, Logan Paul now is more on brand than he has ever been with World Wrestling Entertainment. So I think maybe they'll capitalize it. You'll see him more, much to our dismay. The guy
Mhm.
can work, but he's just a very annoying public figure.
Yeah.
I
He's-
honestly, I think his work is kind of boring too. It just feels like a generic version of what we see from other guys. I mean, he feels like a kind of brand X version of Hangman and Will Ospreay. I think his matches are very formulaic in the fact that he hasn't been doing this very long. It's kind of like it's a better version of Jade, where you see that they're really laying out every aspect of their matches. But I don't enjoy him in the ring or out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think he really knows how to work to the crowd. Like when he comes out, he gets heat naturally, but his matches are so choreographed ahead of time still. Like I don't think he can really call it in the ring. So I
Mm-mm.
don't feel like he can take the audience on that roller coaster like a good wrestler can and kind of like change up the match mid-sequence and really put the crowd over the top. And that's what I think you're getting at is where it's just a very he's athletic and he can do the moves, no question about it.
Mhm.
But it does come off exactly what it is. He's been training for that singular match for weeks at the Performance Center, TV, wherever, because that's what he does. He wrestles once a month when he's around, and that's because it's highly rehearsed. I've said this before on the pod. I don't know that he could wrestle week in and week out right now.
That's been a common theme that I've seen everywhere. I don't think I can argue with that at all. I think it's just the repetition, and then to Justin's point, I mean, he's a hybrid version right now of a mid 2016 Hangman Page and Will Ospreay, the infancy stages of their careers. So
Mhm.
if he were to stick with this and actually learn the craft, learn how to play to the crowd, he could become a fantastic professional wrestler. Again, as much as I hate to say it.
Yeah. All right, real quick, the cage match. Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre. Both of these guys, big time fans of. Someone
Mhm.
asked here in the chat a second ago, Peter, if we actually like the current WWE product. I mean, some parts of it, I would say. Like I think listeners of this show, like Peter, who's been a patron, they know that right now, I think overall, all of us kind of lean AEW because it's the work rate promotion. That's what we get into. We acknowledge there are people who watch wrestling for other reasons than us, and we understand the popularity of WWE, and we're gonna cover it. Look, I mean, WWE is what's pulling in numbers right now in the wrestling industry. Certainly, if you want to have a wrestling podcast, you got to cover it. And I do like their shows are very easy to watch. We talked about this before, more so Raw than SmackDown. SmackDown's kind of a slog to get through, but there are elements of that show that I do enjoy. And both of these guys, absolutely, I really enjoy both Damian and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, there are solid workers on both sides of the fence, and they actually pulled off a pretty solid women's title match with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. I watched about 2/3 of it, and I came away quite impressed. So, yeah, I would say the current WWE product right now, to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, is about a 4.5, 5. They really hit a lull during WrestleMania season. WrestleMania was fine. I think the post WrestleMania has been a little bit better. They've been able to introduce more people. Stories are starting to pick up the last couple of weeks. So, and again, it doesn't matter what we think because they're just rolling in buku dollars. And they're going to continue to do so because they've been spoon fed the same stuff for 20 years. It's formulaic and it works.
Yeah. We know Justin is our most negative towards WWE. On this
Yes,
podcast.
I'm staying quiet.
He's just holding it in right now. He's holding it in. Well, I mean, like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so I was sorry. I was going to slightly reverse course. You go ahead.
Is it about Damian and Drew?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was going. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Who do you guys think needs the win more? Like, 'cause I would think Drew. I mean, I just prefer Drew in general as a professional wrestler, but it seems like he needs it a little bit more badly than Priest does.
I mean, so they set this up. I mean, it goes back several months. Backlash, they fought on it in the crowd, the choke slam through the platform, and all of that. You go back to Mania. Drew beat Damian at Mania, so he got the win there. I don't know. I might say Damian needs it more. I mean, it depends where they're going next, obviously, with these two guys. But Drew did get the win at Mania. What do you think, Jesse?
See, that's what I'm trying to rack my brain at is who I think one of these guys should ultimately get a title shot on the SmackDown side at John Cena really soon. I think it's a matter of what direction you want to go there. You would be playing, as weird as this is to say, heel if you were to go Cena, Drew McIntyre. Yet there's nothing more, honestly, I would want than Drew McIntyre to take the title off of John Cena.
Right. Yes.
I think that would be awesome. I mean, and the crowd actually, granted, he does a great job playing a heel. The crowd really likes him. So it's just the anti-hero thing again, which has been quite popular the last 10, 15 years. So I think Damian needs it more, yet I would lean Drew McIntyre to take this just because I think you can do a little bit more with him moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, they've been wrestling, just looking down the history for a while. You go back to Money in the Bank last year, Damian beat Drew and Seth. That was a triple threat. Clash at the Castle last year, Damian beat Drew. They worked some house show matches last year together. Obviously, let's see, World Heavyweight Title, WrestleMania 40, and Punk was out there. So this has been going on a long time with them. I mean, it's been relatively 50-50 when you look at all the wins and losses. So yeah, I think it really just comes down to direction. I wouldn't mind seeing Damian challenge John Cena. It'd be something fresh, getting a fresh match out of Cena while he's back for these last few dates rather than a retread. Certainly much better than him working R-Truth. So, yeah,
we actually talked about this last year, Ryan, when Priest was just starting to get hot as world champion, and then he loses to Gunther. Like, what do you do with him over the course of the next 8 months? Yeah. And can you keep his character relevant? And so far they have, and I think whether it's the pairings with Drew McIntyre, sticking with Rhea Ripley for a couple of months and the Judgment Day stuff. So now once this is over, can Damian remain relevant, or does he just kind of fall back to the wayside? Yeah. Question to be answered here on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, because Drew is definitely a made man. He's deserved another run as champion for years, as we talked about. I hate using that term deserves. You deserve it, the chance and stuff. But he really does. I mean, this is a guy who made this product watchable during the pandemic when it was highly unwatchable. I feel like people forget about this. WWE during the pandemic was horrible. They did not figure out how to run those empty arena shows for a long time, whereas AEW really excelled at it. Their shows were way more lively during the pandemic era. But Drew's work, he really helped carry that company. And, he's had some memorable feuds. Obviously, his feud with Punk last year was arguably the best feud in wrestling. But I'd like to see him get that push back towards the top of the card again at some point.
Yeah, I think they'd be doing a disservice if they didn't do it, because they took it away from him seconds after he won it at WrestleMania. I mean, give him something a little bit longer.